Okay, here we go. So this is U.S. Championship Football. It is a sports game, and the demo is showing us what you're in for, which is a lot of this. I'm gonna let the lore roll by. There you go. We get this hot cutscene. Okay, that's your lore. Now you know what we're doing. We're playing the Japanese version. The Japanese version gives us that cutscene. I do not need to put 50 credits in, but I'm being extravagant, so, you know. There's going to be time for me to talk about things along the way, so we're just going to get started. So, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so... Oh, that guy really tried. Put him to shame. All right. Anybody who's ever tried to play this game will maybe be able to tell you that it's more complicated than it looks. To start out, whenever I'm serving the ball, I want to just mash A as fast as possible. I can do a jump serve, and you'll see them do a jump serve. But the jump serve has a tendency to just go out of bounds. So we don't really want to do that. So first tech is mash A whenever it's your turn to serve the ball. Next thing that may not be obvious from just watching the game is that I only control one character, and it alternates which one I'm controlling, sometimes in a sporadic fashion that I don't really expect. And effectively, if the AI ever serves the ball to the other guy, the AI won't retrieve the ball for me. So he'll just watch it hit the dirt, and we lose a point. Fantastic. It's just a random way to lose time. Kaboom! Oh, he got it. Wow. All right, Georgia. Second thing that may not be obvious... okay, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Second thing that may not be obvious is that I have no control over where the ball bounces after the first receive. That's a thing that happens in the arcade game, not the NES game. Someone mentioned Super Spike B-Ball in the chat. Hitting the net is much easier in the arcade game, and this is the third thing I'm going to talk about here, which is positioning of the ball. We got to insert another quarter there. The game is very specific about where you need to be at, height and distance-wise from the ball, in order to hit it. And if you're off at all, you'll just swing and miss. Or you'll just, like, do a really flaccid hit that'll just kind of, like, go nowhere. So that was an example of they served the ball to the other guy, and I had no control over it, so I just lose a point. Speed tech, you want to run over to wherever your partner is standing and just jump kind of like on top of them. And that's going to limit the amount of time you have to spend waiting. I'm having a terrible time in terms of timing my jumps correctly. There we go. And the controls are 2-button controls. There's jump and strike, I guess. The jump button, you want to mash to power up your move, and you'll see like my hand will start to glow. And that's going to it's going to increase the acceleration of the ball towards the ground. The other thing that's happening is that you have control over the direction of where your ball goes when you hit it like that. Yeah, and served it to the other guy. I didn't have time to do anything about it. So, you want to be aiming the ball wherever someone is not standing. However, you did see something happen earlier, which is they blocked my shot. If you jump while standing next to the net, then you'll do a block. Did he get it? Okay. That was a recovery real quick. And I don't recommend blocking, because pretty constantly if you try to block the ball, it'll bounce off of your body and just go out of bounds, and you'll lose a point. We might lose this one. We're keeping it tense. Yeah, got me. Can't do anything about it. He was too good. I think in circumstances like that, where the AI just pounds the ball directly into the sand in front of you before you have a chance to do anything, I really don't think that that's a situation where you can blame yourself for it. It just happens. You also have those sort of situations where your guy goes into, like, a low duck move rather than just, like, swatting at the ball up high. Again, not something that I control. It just kind of, like, chooses which animation to do. Stop serving it to the other guy! Aside from that, I've pretty much covered, like, all the things you need to know about the game. Played 2 loops, Minor League and Major League, and at the end of it, you get to face off against the final team. So, we'll get there. Ooh, chump. So yeah, this is going dramatically differently from the previous attempt, and like it wasn't, I haven't done anything different. It's just like the AI was just too good, and they kept serving it to the guy where they needed to serve it to be successful. Dave is making a reference to something that exists in the NES game, which is that Oregon cannot be picked. That guy blocked it out of bounds, and that's why you don't block. In the NES game, you can pick 49 different states, and Oregon is the one you cannot pick, which burns. But here's the Oregon team. They do exist in the arcade game. They were too powerful for the NES game. The 8-bit graphics couldn't handle it. Yeah, so something to really point out in terms of, I'm complaining about the mechanics a lot. This game came out in 1988, and it looks pretty good for a game that came out in 1988. It handles similarly to the NES game. Jump is different. Like, it's not a direct one-to-one. I speedrun both of them, and I enjoy this one more, but the NES one is faster. And you don't have to put in quarters all the time. So, I mean, that's the other thing to keep in mind when you're playing this and you're seeing, like, all the ways that the AI kind of cheats, is that it is an arcade game from the 80s, and it is designed to just take your money. So I think it behaves the way it's supposed to. It's just frustrating. Yeah, don't block, fool. I got foot-boomed. That might have gone out of bounds, but it's just so difficult to tell. The crosshairs are not clear. They're much more clear in the NES game. Okay. My body apparently was not there. And the cutscenes that I'm skipping between each match are, again, only in the Japanese version. And basically we buy a new car between every match. So we start out buying like some janky truck, and then we work our way up to like a Corvette. So that's the lore you're missing out on. I'm saying I would like to know what the reason is that there's only one state missing in the NES game. I would like to know if it's a conscious choice, or if they just, like, didn't realize that they missed it. They just, like, ran out of space on the cart. The NES game also lets you choose different teams, so that's a difference. You don't get to, like, you don't have stats. Okay. Ooh, too good. So that's the primary difference between the the Japanese version has the cutscenes, which is not like a legitimate reason to choose to speedrun it over the US version. The Japanese version is only 2-player, and the US version is 4-player. However, in Japan, you can't play cooperatively. You would be playing on opposing teams, whereas the US version allows you to play through the campaign against the AI. Now we're minor league champions. But the US version doesn't have continues, and makes you play to 15 points instead of 7. So it's slower and harder. But the NES game plays to 15 points. But the Japanese version of the NES game doesn't. Who knew that volleyball could be so complicated? I could aim the ball towards them and try to hit them with a fully charged shot and knock them down, but again, the way that the ball bounces, as far as I can tell, is random, and I don't really want to waste time by having them potentially knock the ball back toward me. So the best thing to do in most circumstances is to hit the ball towards whatever corner they're not standing in. Sometimes you don't really have that option, but especially with the earlier teams, it's not really an issue. You're rolling right along. That is the best part about the game, is hitting them with full force and knocking them down. But, again, like, it's not as reliable, so that's why I don't do it. If you're not super familiar with arcade games from the 80s, one of the things that I learned once I started speedrunning a couple of them is that the dip switch settings... nice. Dip switch settings can be changed, and they modify the way the game behaves, and arcade games would come with a manual that tells the owner of the arcade like how to set those things. This game's only relevant dip switch setting is the timer, which can be adjusted so that people have more time per quarter, and of course the default is to use it to go as fast as possible so you only get 90 seconds per credit. I don't recall if this also has a dip switch setting that changes how many quarters it takes per credit. I feel like that's either in this or one of the Double Dragon games. This is by the people who made Double Dragon, by the way. This is Technos. And I believe you could modify a Double Dragon cabinet to play this game. Served it to the other guy. Didn't do anything about it. But, like, that is a thing that, like, as soon as I learned about that, I went, oh. Then totally, like, proprietors of arcades would absolutely crank up... Because the other thing that exists is difficulty levels. And if you didn't know that, arcade games have difficulty levels, and it doesn't say it anywhere on the screen what the difficulty is. It's just a dip switch setting that you change. In Double Dragon, it's real bad to play it on the highest difficulty because it just makes the game, as far as I'm concerned, unplayable. In this game, the difficulty dip switch doesn't seem to do anything. I have it on very hard right now, but, you know, unless someone does some testing to figure it out, I think that the difficulty doesn't do anything. So I whiffed a shot there, and I'm just going to do a safety. Oh, okay. Totally wasn't in position. But it does make me a little annoyed that arcade games were basically set up to make it easier for them to take more of your money. My other favorite thing about this game is when the ball lands and they just kind of helplessly stare at it. Sure. Sure. All right. For anyone curious, this is already kind of not a great run because I had to repeat a map early on. I did, however, get a gold split on New York 2, so I don't know. Some good and some bad. But overall, this is about what this game feels like. That was an amazing block. Amazing. Gotta respect it. I guess the only other thing I didn't talk about mechanically is that positioning. Your partner will move based on the way you move. Sometimes not in the way that you want him to. But anytime you see me serve the ball, you'll see it switches controls, so I switch to the other guy. And then I kind of move up and to the left to make my AI buddy run up to the net. If you don't do that, he won't run up to the net, and then you just have, you know, a guy who just stands in the back doing nothing. He still does nothing, but, like, I would prefer for him to be, like, in a reasonable location. In case you couldn't tell, the Hawaiian team, pretty good at volleyball. It's not my fault. Will we do it? We've got 2 more points to make. Nope. Served it to the other guy. And he just watched it happen. We hang our heads in shame. Try again. Nice. Had to give him a little payback. A little taste. Yeah. Technically, that is the fastest thing that can happen, is if they, like, block it out of bounds, because then just move on to the next shot? I don't know. I don't know volleyball terms. Volley? Go? Round? Okay. That was just downright embarrassing. Can't do this to a minor league champion. That was pretty good. One more! I was expecting to be controlling the red guy. There we go. Okay, now we're moving on to the final team. Who do you think is the ultimate champion of volleyball in the United States? If you guessed the US Navy, well, then you've seen Top Gun. Playing on an aircraft carrier and everything. They put sand on the aircraft carrier, just for us. No, Dave, you can root for the Navy. Oh, wow. He got me. I had not expected him to do a super weak shot like that. That might have gone out of bounds. Too good. Just too good. That's unfortunate. I mean, I think they are required to wear their finest for this event. Okay. Sure. That was just too good. He served it between the two of us, and that's like the ideal place for them to aim. That was definitely going out of bounds. One more! That was nice. Nice feint. Got him. It's time. And our reward is this still screen. And 3 women, apparently. So, overall, I like this game. I think it achieves what it's supposed to do, but it definitely has its flaws. And you have to go into it expecting those flaws. But again, the game is as old as I am, so I get it. Some things just don't work the way you want them to. I'm one of 2 people who runs this game. I think it's a totally fine game to play, but expect it to be very steep in terms of a learning curve when you try to pick it up. It will surprise you how difficult it is to play. The reason I got into this is because the other guy who runs it requested it, and so I started playing it, and I was infuriated for like a solid week of playing this game and trying to figure it out. Well, this isn't the demo. It reset, so that was me not controlling the game. Other than that, I got nothing else to say. That's V-Ball.